Tonight, we welcome 6 individuals into the Hall of Fame who have made countless contributions to their profession and society. Capital One Academic All-America program recognizes more than 1,600 student athletes annual with Academic All-America honors, and nearly 4,000 total student athletes earn Academic All-District accolades. For more than 20 years, student athletes from every sport in which the NCAA crowns champions have been eligible for Academic All-America consideration. Since the program's inception, more than 20,000 student athletes have earned Academic All-America honors from Capital One and COSIDA. Including this year's induction class, only 124 have been chosen for the Academic All-America Hall of Fame, truly making this group the best of the best. Very unique stories that you're going to hear tonight. Before introducing this year's induction class, it also gives me great pleasure to welcome back those members of the Academic All-America Hall of Fame who are with us this evening. You've met one of them already. We'd like to recognize a couple again. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the inaugural class of 1988, former USC football great and the Trojans' current director of athletics, Mr. Pat Hayden. And seated just to Pat's right from the induction class of 1997, Hall of Fame broadcaster and one of the sport's most iconic voices, Mr. Dick Enberg. Our first inductee enjoyed a stellar basketball career at Harvard University, and his career journey since then has taken him from Cambridge to Chicago to his current place of business, the White House. In his role as United States Secretary of Education, Arne Duncan is helping to shape the future for millions of our children across the nation. This time, I'd like to direct your attention to our video screen as Dick Enberg highlights Secretary Duncan's career.
Vision plays a key role in determining the success of any athlete. The ability to see a clear path can lead to anything from a majestic home run, an electrifying touchdown, or a game-winning three-pointer. A visionary in competition will lead his or her team to success, but a visionary in the game of life has an even more far-reaching impact, and Arne Duncan's vision is shaping the present and touching the future of education for generations of Americans to come, and that is to be applauded. Duncan's vision on the basketball court at Harvard University's famed Lavietti's Pavilion helped the Crimson carve a path to success as he served as a team co-captain during his senior year, 1986-87, while earning first-team GTE Academic All-America accolades. After graduating magna cum laude from Harvard with a degree in sociology, Duncan left the hub for Down Under, continuing his playing career in Australia with several teams, including the Melbourne East Side Spectors. After lacing up his sneakers for the final time in the early 90s, Duncan returned to his native Chicago and was appointed the director of the nonprofit Aerial Education Initiative. And after serving for 8 years in that role, he was named as the Deputy Chief of Staff in the Chicago Public Schools. 2 years later, Duncan was promoted by Mayor Richard M. Daley to the position of Chief Executive Officer of the Chicago Public Schools, as he served for 8 years as one of the top education administrators in the country. And then an old friend and fellow Harvard alum came calling. In 2009, CEO Duncan became Secretary Duncan, as he was appointed by fellow Chicagoan President Barack Obama to serve as the 9th United States Secretary of Education. His tenure in that position has been marked by a number of significant accomplishments on behalf of American students and teachers, including securing congressional support for President Obama's investments in education that helped fund 325,000 teaching jobs. He has unleashed bold reforms and innovations through such programs as Race to the Top and investing in innovation, while making unprecedented commitments to turn around chronically underperforming schools. From Cambridge to Chicago to our nation's capital, Secretary Arne Duncan has invested his life to the continued growth and development of our country's youth at every stop along the way. And tonight, we're proud to honor him with induction into the Capital One Academic All-America Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome for induction into the Capital One Academic All-America Hall of Fame from Harvard, Arne Duncan. Grab a microphone and we'll chat a little bit. A lot of things we could talk to you about, but I think the one question that's probably on everybody's mind, we know how the president loves basketball. Two different forms of playing when you get past your playing prime. There's one-on-one, there's horse. Let's start with the one-on-one. You and the president one-on-one. Who wins?
I plead the fifth.
Okay, let me ask you this question. If I were to ask you in a non-election year, would your answer be different?
Invite me back next year and we're having that conversation.
Okay, all right. What kind of shooter is he in horse? Pretty good?
He can shoot.
Yeah?
He can shoot, yeah. He's got a good crossover and he plays hard. He loves to win.
Is this one of those deals because he's the commander-in-chief, you guys have to let him win? If you're playing, his team has to win?
Absolutely not. And,
no?
we play to win. I think the last thing we should do is sort of go soft on him. And so we're out there competing. So we still have a lot of fun with it.
I noticed in some of the pictures during the video that Tommy Amaker was in some of the pictures. Your alma mater had a great season in basketball. I'm sure President Obama was thrilled about that as well. When you look back on your time at Harvard, what's your fondest memory as a student athlete there?
I think the big thing was just the quality of the relationships. I think my coach is Frank McLaughlin, who's now at Fordham. We stay in touch periodically. Peter Roby, who became the head coach, is now at Northeastern. I see him as I travel. Tom Thibodeau, who's our assistant coach, is now the coach of the Bulls and has done fantastic there. And there's a set of players who were from the D.C. area who I played with, didn't see most of them for like 20 years. When I moved to D.C., we're all back playing together Saturday mornings. And I think it's those lifelong relationships that you cherish. And so it's a unique opportunity to bond when you're part of a team sport.
People use the term student athlete. It's something that we try to use to reinforce the concept that people aren't just putting all of their stock and all of their time and all their energy in athletics. That said, what do you think you learned as an athlete that also helped you excel as a student?
Well, I always say, I think, and this is the choir here, but I think there's so many life lessons that are best taught, whether it's on the basketball court or the playing field, and hard work and perseverance and tenacity and long-term goals rather than sort of short-term benefits and thinking about what's good for the team, not what's good for you. There's no better place to learn those lessons than in sports. And so I just feel so lucky to have had that opportunity, and whether it was in college or elementary school or whatever it was growing up, sports have just been this absolutely formative experience. I've just been so lucky to have mentors and role models who helped me grow and develop, and there's no way I'd be doing what I'm doing today had I not had those athletic opportunities.
In your role now, I think a lot of times people see those pursuits, at least some people in the public, as mutually exclusive, academic and athletic pursuits. In your role now, how do you try to get out a message that it doesn't have to be that way?
Well, I think the myth of the dumb jock is exactly that, and we know student athletes get much better grades, have better attendance, are leaders, they graduate at higher rates, and one of the things that I worry so much in these tough economic times is those athletic opportunities start to disappear. And if you're trying to reduce dropout rates and have young people become productive citizens, I think the most important thing we can do is to do more extracurriculars, including sports. And so I'm constantly fighting folks to say, hey, don't cut off your nose to spite your face. In these tough economic times, don't walk away from sports. Don't walk away from dance and drama and art and music. If you give those opportunities, then young people are going to stay engaged in school. If you don't, then they start to go in the wrong direction.
On the subject of opportunity, something that's been an initiative for us at ESPN has been to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Title IX. That's created a number of opportunities in your role right now. What kind of perspective can you give us on the impact of Title IX?
I think it's just fascinating to look back 40 years, and it was, whatever it was, 36, 37 words. This very short statement, didn't even mention the word sports. I think it's one of the biggest educational and civil rights triumphs of the past 4 decades, and you can't overstate the impact. 10 times as many young women participating in high school athletics, 6 times as many at the collegiate level. More boys' participation, that hasn't gone down. Huge progress on the academic side. Now, there's a long way to go. I think it's sort of incumbent upon all of us to not just celebrate the amazing, amazing successes, but to sort of think, what can we do 40 years from now, and how can we build upon the track record. But our country would not be what it was today were it not for Title IX. It's incalculable, the benefit to young women, their families, and to the broader country. It's an amazing, amazing success story.
You look back over the last 20 years or so, what's the biggest change you've seen in the way kids are educated now?
I think young people today are facing tougher challenges early on in life than before, and I think making sure every single young person has a chance to fulfill their academic and social potential, and whether they're from a 2-parent household or a single mom, or we got far too many young people, frankly, raising themselves these days. We have to find a way. We can't use those difficulties as an excuse not to educate. We have to find a way to educate every single young person, and the consequences if we don't do that are so devastating today. I always say when I was in high school in the south side of Chicago, it wasn't that long ago, I'm getting a little old, but if my friends dropped out of high school, which some did, it wasn't the end of the world. They could go work in the stockyards and steel mills and have a good job and support their family and own their home and do okay, but we know today if you drop out, you're basically condemned to poverty and social failure. And so the stakes have never been higher. Young people are under more pressure than ever before, and we have to find ways to get to them early to make sure they're making the right decisions and have the right support structure to be successful long term.
In your role as secretary, what's the biggest challenge, what's the biggest obstacle to making that happen?
I always say I think the biggest challenge for me is I think the sense of complacency in our country. I think we have to get better a lot faster than we are, and we have a dropout rate that's staggering, 25%, 1 million young people not graduating each year. Everyone here at the collegiate level, far too many of our young people who graduate have to take remedial classes at the college level because they're really not ready. And so sort of shaking the country up and saying, let's not just celebrate the past successes, but I think a strong economy and great public education, those two things are inextricably linked, and we have to do things very differently than we have in the past. The fact that we have an academic calendar based upon the agrarian economy doesn't make any sense to me. Our kids aren't working the fields anymore. A lot of our kids need more time. We need to break through on some of those fundamental challenges.
You've got an extensive resume, and now you'll add the honor of Academic All-American, Hall of Famer. Now, what is this accomplishment, what does this honor mean to you?
This is just an extraordinary group, and I just can't tell you how much it means to me personally. It's really, really humbling. And you look at sort of the list of names on the plane this morning, and just to be in any way associated with some of the legends and giants that are on that list is pretty remarkable. So I'm just deeply gratified and just very, very humbled to be part of this family now.
One final question. Didn't you deserve the MVP of the Celebrity All-Star Game? I mean, seriously.
As long as we get a W.
I mean, Gottlieb was trying so hard to get it, and then Bieber just won it. Arne, congratulations. Thank you for being with us. Arne Duncan, ladies and gentlemen.